everybody. Welcome back to Renegades of the podcast, our mostly monthly podcast with us, Unheard Sirens Incorporated. I am Remy.
I'm Juliet.
Joined by my partner, Juliet, my partner in life and in music and in crime and in everything. We are Unheard Sirens Incorporated. We do, pop music from an alternate universe, our combination of synth pop and synth wave, and we take influences from all over the place, and we do what we want to do. We are renegades of the portal. We are from another dimension. We are aliens, and we rock on. And
we bring the alien life. We celebrate it. We have lots of fun songs about alien life, and we are the renegades.
Yes.
And stuff like that, that if you haven't checked it out, you should definitely check it out.
You're joining us on our podcast series on a very special episode where we've brought on a very special creator who is as influenced by my idol, who, if you can't tell by certain things we have around us, I worship at the altar of the late, great David Bowie is my life idol, what I aspire to, and one creator I came across who is just as influenced, if not maybe more so, and is trying to bring some of that Bowie-ness that we lost in 2016 back into the world, is one creator who goes by the name Zoe Bowie. Yay! So, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Renegades of the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys? Thank you so much for having me. It's a huge honor. Huge.
Absolutely. This has been a long time coming. I forget when we first kind of touched bases and got in contact through the portal that is Instagram. I think it was like 2 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away by your content and your stuff and how just authentic you capture that Bowie-ness. It's just something to behold, and we'll be beholding that in a couple of minutes. I'm going to have some images to show people, but it's just yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is my first podcast, and this is my first kind of talk in general and pertaining to my Bowie stuff. So I'm definitely like every emotion, but
yeah, absolutely. I gotta so in case people just have never seen your stuff before, I gotta give people a little taste of just how awesome you are and why we had to have you on the show. I love this kind of like adaptation of the look, and that jacket as well is awesome. But also just like
Thank you.
Spectacular stuff. I love this. Of course, had to include that one. Jareth.
With package.
Yes. This was taken like at a cathedral, you said, I think I saw.
So this was in Dorchester, South Carolina. Right now I'm in Florence, Hartsville area. This was in Dorchester, South Carolina. So it's an old bell tower, a colonial bell tower. It's historical, and it had what you see those walls in that picture. And that's all made of like stone and seashell. That was actually from various revolutionary civil wars and stuff like that. A lot of American history happened on southern soil, especially in South Carolina more specifically. That's one of the very, very few things I'm proud of me being stuck here in South Carolina for the time being. And that was an old historical location. Nice. It was really, really fun. I had called someone who was kind of overlooking the area and asked, hey, I want to do a photo shoot here, or just kind of, I got a cool cell phone that has a really cool camera. I got ideas, and let's put it together and see how it goes. And because he had asked me, what kind of shoot, and I was like, well, have you ever seen Labyrinth? He said, oh yeah, boy. Doing Jareth, and he said, oh, say no more. Exactly, I understand you more round kind of look or that. He said this place should be perfect.
It's excellent use of that location and the access you were able to get to that, and also like I'm just noticing the composition of that shot, how you have the reflection in the ball there is kind of amazing. Perfect. This is probably one of my favorite Bowie eras, and also the look and everything. We're probably going to do for my 40th. I'm going to be 39 next year. So we think that for my 40th birthday, I'm just going to do a Bowie themed party and have everybody pick an era of Bowies.
Everybody comes as a different Bowie.
Oh, so you're 16 in alien years then. You're still very young.
Exactly. I've come to this conclusion. I am an ageless alien time lord, and, it is what it is. We're just going to be eternally a teenager, What's wrong with that? And of course, got to do the lightning bolt look.
Thank you.
What I think, what blows my mind though is these images here when you do the split screen, like with Bowie's face and like your face matches up so perfect. Like I just looking at like, of course, when you're like inhabiting Bowie, you kind of see it. But like when when you just see other pictures of you and your curly, natural black hair, you don't instantly think, oh, they look like Bowie. But like when you do that split screen, it's like, whoa. It's like transformational. And this one is maybe low key. This hunky dory recreation is maybe low key one of my favorites that you've done. Like, of course, people latch on to the Aladdin saying lightning bolt look. And of course, that's like the Mona Lisa of album covers. And I understand why people, when they think Bowie, that's like the first image that comes to mind. But for me, like this image here is like low key one of my favorites that you've done. And it reminded me, because like that's kind of the connection, and I'll get to this kind of later in our interview, is one of the first singles we dropped in 2020 ahead of our album Regeneration was the title track from that album. Our album Regeneration was all about personal transformation. We were both going through a very like
huge
transformative, huge changes in our lives, and
yes. We had hit like the ends of certain things, and so we were like in the process of evolving and kind of redesigning ourselves from the inside out. So that's what Regeneration was all about. I bring it up because on the cover that I created for that single, I think I was like subconsciously channeling Hunky Dory with that with the cover of that single that you can see here.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it's even that and Heroes too, as well. You can tell it's very Bowie inspired, but I love it. But it's also like, here's my inspiration, but here's how I put it in my own personal melting pot and serve my own dish. And that's something that you guys do that I love and admire, and something that I do as well, and something that both of our inspirations and our heroes, who we both worship, David does that as well. He jokes at himself that, oh, I'm not original, even though he knows very good and well that he is. Because what he does, again, what we all of us do, him included, he will take things that he's inspired by and he puts it together. And just because you're inspired by someone doesn't make you any less original or unique, because here's the trick. It's the way you blend it together, and it's the way that you present it. You could have a room of people with all the same ingredients. They would serve up a completely different dish. You have your own originality, even maybe if we have some overlapping inspiration. What I'm going to do is different from what you're going to do, and so forth.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything that you just said. So let's kind of like go back to the beginning of when you started doing the Zoe Bowie thing, when you created an individual account for that, and you started really taking the Bowie cosplay to like the nth degree. Like what made you want to make that decision and do that?
And also, since you brought up the jacket, all started on the day I was born. So he had saved my life from a lot, as I'm sure he did you guys, and he has done for so many countless others. I had, and this is just a trigger warning for anyone else tuning in, this does get a little bit dark and heavy. I had tried multiple times to commit suicide, to not only hurt myself, but I had aggression towards others. I was in a lot of pain. I had grown up and I had experienced a lot of abusive situations, whether that be with family members or therapists. I even had a therapist who had almost killed me. I had been through a lot. I had been to the loony bin and got a new pair of socks. And I've been through quite a lot. And He was the very first person I ever fully related to. I had first like seen him around like 2 years old ish, and it was Labyrinth, of course. Labyrinth is usually one of the first, if not the first, exposures that people have to David. So that's kind of cool that we share that likeness in our individual different journey with him. I had, you go through that transition when you're, a kid watching something to, oh, this is the movie, these are actors, etc., so forth, and you go through that transition phase of, oh my god, a movie, to, okay, this is actors, these are people, this, so and so forth. And that was around like 5th grade-ish. I had kind of said, okay, who's this person? Looked him up on Google. The first thing that I saw was all the fashion, all of the clothes, and I was like, oh. And then, oh my god, he does music too? Listen to everything on YouTube. And it was like, he's the first person I ever fully related to, not just on a physical sense, like with the side-by-sides and things, but which slowly more and more has freaked me out. But it started as for fun, but then I was like, wait a minute. I had started October 25th, 2020 was when I had put up that account on Instagram, Zoe Bowie Official. And it has been my child, and I have nurtured it and grown it to the best of my ability. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best out there. No one is the best out there. We're all just kind of in our own lane, dancing our own dance, and that's cool. That's just kind of how I see life as a rave. We're doing our own dance, but we're all at the same party.
Yep.
But I try not to.
I'm doing my own dance now. I'm usually doing it on the inside, but sometimes, we can do it on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah. He had saved my life from a lot. He had taught me a lot of things, as he has many others. He had taught me that it's okay to be yourself, and that you don't have to be afraid anymore, that it doesn't matter whatever, anyone else thinks about you, that, fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
I look amazing, I feel amazing, then out and strut your stuff and be a peacock, because who cares? He taught me to rock it and to own it, whatever I have, and to take any flaw and put it under the spotlight with you, and it'll glimmer just as shiny as the rest of everything else. He had been through a lot, and he had recovered from anything that he was addicted to. Anything that he had been through, he had overcome, and that taught me strength. He taught me a whole hell of a lot that I could go on about for hours, really. I say 2 things. I say, he keeps me alive, so I'm going to keep him alive in return. And I call myself I call him my Life on Mars, and myself his Black Star. Life on Mars, I hate saying that that's my favorite song, because like everyone says that, but the meaning for me personally is a lot more in depth than the common I like that song with any artist that fans might, I just like that song.
Yeah.
That song isn't talking about space, and he had said multiple different meanings for that song in interviews, but one of the original meanings of that song was that it was a girl who hated her life and wanted a better one, that life on Mars was a metaphor for another life beyond her reach that she wanted. Mm-hmm. And I felt that a lot in my life with all of the things that I'd been through. A lot of heavy bullying too. Even in high school, I had kids throw food at me in the cafeteria. I never thought being different would be so hard. But Life on Mars was talking about a girl who hates her life and wants a better one, and I understood that. And he is my life on Mars. He gave me that better life, and he's showing me the way through that. I call myself his Black Star, because Black Star was talking about a lot of things, not just his death simply, but also talking about him coming back and the fact that he's never left in the first place. He knew he was dying.
Yeah.
He released it on his birthday, for Christ's sakes. Which also, again, would symbolize rebirth, that when you die, you're born again into a new plane, hence his birthday. There's a black star in science, in space, is a phase in which a dying, collapsing star will be reborn into a new star and it will be indefinite energy, released forever. So that was his way by saying, I'm a black star. He's saying, I might die, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I want to be that for him. So he's my life on Mars, and I'm his black star.
Yeah, so much of what you just said, like, I relate to, like, completely. Like, the whole being an outcast, being an outsider, feeling like there's no place for you your whole life. Like, I've definitely felt that. And that was, for me, like, when I really taking in the Bowie influence kind of came later. Like, Bowie was one of those things, he was just always there. I think it really took hold with me honestly, later in life with The Next Day. I thought The Next Day was a friggin' brilliant album, and I was like, okay, and I started digging deeper into it. And then, of course, everything in 2016 happened with Black Star and all that. So, and then it was just on from there. And also, like, Bowie was a huge influence of one of my bandmates in my first band, Freak Flag. He was huge into Bowie before I was, but also, like, what you say about, like, all that stuff about, like, what went into the creation of Black Star, that message he was trying to deliver, that he's still here. I wrote a song on Regeneration called Return of the Black Star, very much inspired, because you listen to that song, he's like, something happened on the day he died.
Only
somebody took his place. So the part, that line, somebody took his place and bravely cried, I'm a black star. I'm like, he's saying people are going to come in and fill the void that he left. And so, like, it was that was me, like, taking that message to the nth degree and saying, like, yeah, here's the people, and I'm going to be one of them, taking the place of what he left behind. It's like trying to put that back in and, like, resurrect the zombie, so to speak. Keep the life force.
The living dead guy.
Yes. Something like that.
Like, Bowie's sort of always been there for me too, because I love Labyrinth, and it's always been one of my, like, favorite films of all time. And I was just obsessed with Labyrinth after it came out, and I have no idea how many times I've watched it, but I, like, can do all the monologues, all the dialogue, all the accents, all the characters. Yeah, I can be like the little blue worm. You may know I'm just a worm. Come inside, meet the missus. And I would just, like, do all the bits, and I loved all the characters, higgle, hoggle, yes. And it's just, yeah, so that aesthetic, the weirdness and the darkness and the, if you look closely in Labyrinth at the design of the sets and everything, the world that it builds, it's everything shimmering. It's like dark and sparkly. And the first band I founded was in 2008 called Phoenix Noir, and we would describe the Phoenix Noir sound as the sonic equivalent of black glitter, which is sort of like, it was dark and sparkly, like rock music, it's like dark sparkly rock. So it's so fundamental, it, like, gets inside your aesthetic. And then it comes out in so many ways that you see it, you know? And Bowie sort of puts you under his spell, as Jareth, but in all of the other characters, in all of the ways that he inhabits the stage. And, I hadn't really connected the dots as growing up, because, I knew, like, China Girl really well. And I, like, the crazy video used to play on MTV a lot with him with Mick Jagger, where they're dancing in the streets. They're strutting, they're like spinning around, they're huge, like, shoulder pads, and they're shaking their ass together, and they just seem to, like, so have the hots for each other. And as a kid, I was just like, I don't really know what's going on. What's happening in this video? What signals am I receiving from this? What's the message? And so it's just sort of like the spectacle, and, like, just bright colors and different looks and different sounds, and just, like, coming, and I hadn't put it all together. So now, we watch, like, all the different documentaries and the biopics and, like, really studying how Bowie unfolds over time in the different eras, and how he influenced different people in different phases of time. Because, like, I remember when the I'm Afraid of Americans came out, because I was really into Nine Inch Nails. And so then when Bowie partnered with Trent Reznor, I was like, wait, what? So, because I was definitely, like, a big fan of Nine Inch Nails. Like, as soon as Pretty Hate Machine was released, it kind of, like, my world was never going to be mainstream again. it was just clear. Like Pretty Hate Machine is like an anchor, and the movie The Crow, which we just were reviewing in our last podcast episode, they had kind of really set my aesthetic, and then Bowie was there, and it was like anything good would happen, and then Bowie would be there. And he was always partnering with people, and it was sort of like watching the different performances and the live videos that are out there, like still on YouTube and stuff, you know, like when he was touring with Placebo and they're just playing a Placebo song and Bowie just comes out, just guests in, and it's like, oh, the dream, if only like we just want Bowie to saunter on from like the afterlife and just like take up his place right here.
Yeah.
Right on our shoulder, and like, you know, just rock out with us. So it's, you know, I remember a bunch, like a 2015 or 2016, having like some cool road trip with somebody that I worked with, and she was like, you know, Bowie was my first rock and roll love affair. Like she got one of his albums, it might have been Hunky Dory, and was just like, just on repeat, just, you know, and when you're an adolescent and you get super obsessed with things and you just want it over and over and over and over and over, you know, it's like you cannot, you just can't stop like bathing in it. Like it's so important to, you know, like little kids, they get addicted to like cartoons and Disney films and they want to watch the same thing over and over. But like as teenagers, it's more like maybe movies and then albums and music videos where it's just like you just want it over and over and over again. So I would say like Bowie was not my very first rock and roll love affair, but I love that idea and I want to write about the rock and roll love affair. Like I want to write a song called that. Yeah. And then kind of honoring like how it's Bowie for some people and which one mine, I don't know which one mine would be, but it's sort of putting together how influential it's been behind the scenes, and then over, it's like especially since he died, like the day after he died, there was this amazing tribute show where we live in Charlottesville, Virginia, which has a wonderful music scene, tons of great, really talented musicians, and everybody came together and they created all these sort of like bands with members of all the other bands. So they brought different ensembles together that didn't usually perform together, but people that knew each other and wanted to play. And all these different women and men did different Bowie looks. And it was at Jefferson Theater, which is a really cool old movie theater that's like a concert hall now. They took the seats out on the main level, so you just like have room to stand and dance and stuff. And we were just like standing there, just like absorbing all the Bowie energy, like all the tribute energy. And like we sort of had the insight that we could maybe, it was when it came to me that we were going to be able to get married, because marriage as a conventional concept is so creepy to me, and weddings are so fucking weird and creepy to me. But I realized that we could have like a wedding gig, and we could just like this tribute show I was seeing to Bowie, that we could have like my band and Remy's other band, Butterfly Vendetta, and my band Phoenix Noir. But then we also started doing US, or Unheard Sirens Inc. now. After we had gotten engaged, and it all started coming together at that like Bowie tribute show for me, and we both started dropping hints about did we maybe want to get engaged, or did we think we were heading in that direction, and I was like, oh yeah, we're heading in that direction, and we had a wedding gig on like December 30th 2016, and that was when we did it. Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting how that convergence of energy happened. Like,
because
Bowie left the world in January 2016,
and then by December, we were a band. We performed our first set of music together after our friend married us. So instead of writing our vows, we wrote a set of music, and we started creating work together. But I could see it all because of like seeing Bowie on stage in the tribute brought by all these other Charlottesville musicians that I really respected, and people did like this amazing job with that show. It was, for a local show pulled together very fast after his death, it was mind-blowing. So props to all the Charlottesville people that helped with that Bowie tribute at the Jefferson, because it really, like, that was a moment where everything came together for me, and it was like his fashion and the way he played with artists and designers and film and movement and music and life. It was all together. And it was like, our life could be like that. Our wedding can be like that. We can be like that. And then we became a band, and it was like, our band could be like that. And it was just like, he's just there in all of it. Like, he's so foundational to all of it, because it was like, Bowie lives so beautifully woven with all aspects of art and his whole life was like an art form, you know. And so that, I think, has given us this world to build in, and we build our own way, and it's our own little pocket universe of weirdness that we get to design. But knowing what he did, you know, being able to see this, like all the worlds, all the phases, all the different times he inhabited different looks and changed his sound, and he changed who he collaborated with, and, you know, it's just amazing. So that's my story.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So as far as what you're doing, Zoe, as far as like encapsulating all the different changes that Bowie was over his life, like what look or what like era was like maybe the most challenging to recreate in your cosplays? Like which one like took a little bit like extra effort, do you think?
Off the top of my head, of course I haven't done all of them yet. I do plan to. The next one in the works is Let's Dance, actually, as I've teased, and here are the shoes for that.
Oh, nice.
His of mine so far, I would say the Thin White Duke, simply because of the wig. Because when your hair is actually cut short, it lays a certain way, and it's only so thick on top of your head. My hair, and I have a lot of it, underneath this will add more volume in the wig cap and make it look more like I look like a cheese puff, and I love it, and it adds like this whole thing to it. But the Thin White Duke, that wig, I have a whole process for that. So when I do the hair, I put it pinned on a wig head first. That's my size. The male one is more my size. The female ones are like that big. The head is the same measurements. And I'll pin it on, and I'll do that whole shebang. And you want to get that curve right around your ear right there. That's the whole trick.
Yeah.
So you have to style it a certain way, wait for it to dry, and then after your makeup and everything else, and I don't have eyebrows either, so I put on put and draw on fake eyebrows to get that. But you carefully put this wig that once was a wig, but now because of the hairspray, it's a hat, and you put it on, and you and you just hope it doesn't fall apart, and you style it again on your head and fit it more, and then you're like, okay. You just creep out of the room and the distant fog of the bathroom, and you do your photo shoot and hope that it all stays together. A lot of bobby pins, a lot of things that would turn that once wig into a hat.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I'm for sure, like when we do the aforementioned 40th birthday party, like I'm thinking like Thin White Duke is probably the first look I gotta go with. But I gotta show you, because like these pants that I'm wearing today very specifically jumped out at me at the store, because I'm like, those are Berlin era Bowie pants. Look at this.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I was like, yes,
Oh, yes.
and then like, yeah. And then we're watching like Moon Age Daydream, and there's a scene in there where I think he's performing Heroes. I think it was one of those shows, and he's wearing pants that look like exactly like these. You know?
Like precisely exactly.
These,
we were like,
we found these at a thrift store, and it's like, yeah. It was on. At that
and
point,
this actually, you found this shirt. This is a recreation of the original purchase, but the original purchase was in New Orleans on our honeymoon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we went to this really cool little like rock and roll hole in the wall shop that had lots of like vintage rock shirts, like alphabetical by band. I mean, it was like just wall full of them,
Oh, nice.
like the high rack and the low rack, just like, you know, all of the different letters, you know. Where do you tend to find all the pieces for your cosplay? How do you build your outfits?
So a lot of I tend to go straight to Amazon and Etsy for things. A lot of thrift shopping, so I do a mix of buying and making things. I definitely went through a mental journey with all of it, and I usually do anyway. But it's I went through, you know, because I used to think that if I don't make the entire thing, that I'm less of a performer or I'm less of a cosplayer. And I had to learn. I was like, wait a minute. David didn't even make his own outfits. Me and a friend of mine, we both handmade this wig together. That's already doing more than David did for his own outfits.
Right.
He never really, you know, made his stuff. He helped design it. He's definitely a mastermind behind all of his things, but he also had his ideas mixed with other masterminds like Kansai Yamamoto, who did the Ziggy Stardust knit outfits, things like that, which mine was handmade for me by Blanket Boss on Etsy. The colors aren't fully accurate in just a few places, but it was the best one I could find online, and they did a really good job with it. It's not very stretchy, though the Ziggy poses make it more difficult, but I do eventually end up getting it. When you learn how to position yourself, you can then just do it and work around the outfit. But it's a mix of make things, usually buy a base or something and kind of build on top of it. But, you know, it definitely was a journey, and it also taught me, and another thing that David had taught me, like I said, that you don't have to make it. For me, it depends on the cosplayer and performer, et cetera, so forth. If you're doing it for the craftsmanship, definitely be worried about, oh, fuck, I didn't make this. But if you're not worried about the craftsmanship part of it, me personally, I'm really not. I'm worried not in the sense that I don't want it to look good, but in a sense that the reason why I'm doing this is not to make these outfits in that regard, but rather I'm more worried about the performance behind it. I'm more worried about what I'm taking and putting on and then how I'm moving it, because that's what David did. He didn't make his outfits like I'm sewing, you know, my outfits. He didn't do that. What he did, and what I focus on as well, is more the performance art behind the outfit, how you can take what you're wearing and present it to the world. And I'm a lot more of an actress than anything.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like and you have that. You absolutely have that energy, that Bowie energy in the pictures, and the way you put out there, it absolutely comes through, because, and that's 100% way more important than, oh, this isn't the authentic color or the authentic fabric. Like, no one's gonna care as long as you have like the energy spot on. And like, same here. Like, I've like ever since like really taking in the Bowie influence ever since like he died, and with our last few albums, and really kind of making the conscious effort of like, basically in our music and in our art, like when there's moments whenever I'm like struggling with like bad writer's block, or like I'm just not feeling the energy, my creative anchor is always like Bowie. I'll go back to like an album or like an interview. I'll watch like something of his, like, and I'll just like take it in, and like usually that will help get the creative juices going again. And since like doing that, like I've tried to like in my performance and in the songs we're writing, I've been trying to like bring a little bit of that influence. So if it's not like on the nose, but like you kind of, if you know, if you know that Bowieism, you'll see it coming through. And I've been lucky enough that like she's commented that like people have been like said about like after one of our shows or something, have been like, he's so much like Bowie, and I'm like, yes, mission accomplished. Because like because as a musician, you always have that imposter syndrome. You just do. You always have that feeling of like, what makes me worthy of getting up on stage and singing and making songs or whatever, when other people try to do it and fail to do it. Like, what makes me so special, blah, blah, blah. So you always have that in the back of your head. So when you get any sort of like validation in that, like, you kind of have to take a moment to just step back and just take it in a little bit and be like, something I'm doing is working. Something that we're doing, that we're putting out in the world is affecting people's lives in a positive way, and that's all you really want at the end of the day, right? So like,
what have you found in putting your work out there? Are you getting stuff reflecting back to you from how people are receiving it? Like, what kind of cool interactions or interesting or weird things have come from putting yourself out there in this way?
Great question. Thank you. And I do definitely get a lot of Bowie energy from your stuff as well, which is one of the many reasons why I love it so much. I talk about you guys all the time, and it's like, oh my god, look at my friends, they're so cool.
You're like, yeah, we're close friends now. So anyway, back to you though, on like, as you're putting your art out there, people are reflecting back to you. What's that been like for you?
Surreal, and I hate to be one of those bitches that says, "Oh my god, it's so surreal," but it really is. It's a lot. It's creepy in the most positive way possible, and in the most try not to shit my pants as much as possible, because then weird things line up. Even as far as numbers, like the number 5 lines up for me with my David Bowie journey a lot. So like he had a song called 5 Years, and then it ended up being like 5 years into my cosplay journey is when I actually ended up starting doing David Bowie stuff. And then I thought that was weird. And then there's like all other weird things with that. And then I was like, 5, why does the number 5 repeat? And then I remembered I call myself his black star. A star has 5 points on it.
Yep.
So it was just kind of like, right. But also like from people, like from people even saying, with the Labyrinth, I was working at Spirit Halloween at the time, and it ended up, in the conversation about it, and showed a couple pictures of my Labyrinth stuff at the time, which was that photo shoot, I believe, and the guy ended up being like, oh, that's like the VHS tape I used to watch, and I was like very complimented by that. Because I'm in the most non-toxic way a cocky little shit, and then extremely like thankful and humble, and people compliment me to the point I try not to cry because I just, I'm not very used to it. I don't think I'll ever will be used to it. A lot of positive things, including the official David Bowie page following my Instagram.
Nice.
Connections with people. His son Duncan Jones and I have been back and forth in the posts and comments on Twitter. I have a highlight on my page of just us picking on each other, and being and also just being sweet. Him like, oh, thank you, Zoe, with a heart, and he called me Z, and I called him Z back on one. Just little things. Just Duncan's very active on Twitter, and he's very kind of like picks around with people, and we've had a lot of funny interactions over the years, and so I've got a highlight of that just because it's funny to look back on. Definitely a lot of fans that love it and that see it and appreciate it, such as yourselves. Thank you. A lot of people connected personally to David before he had passed also, which is really just surreal. And I am excited to see where the journey's going to go, and to quote him in a quote that so many people misquote, and I misquoted, including myself when I was a baby fan. I don't know where I'm going from here, but I promise I won't bore you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, that's a favorite of mine for sure. Let me ask you this to kind of start maybe starting to wrap up a bit, but what impact do you want to have with what you're creating, with the content you're putting out there, with the Zoe Bowie personality? What do you hope people get out of it? What do you ultimately hope your impact is?
Of course, when he said don't play to the gallery, I don't do things for attention and for other people, but I do things for other people in a way of I hope that it helps. I want to hopefully save other people like David saved me, and spread his message along with my message, which are very much the same and each our own, to people and to the world and whatever other planet it may touch. I want to, definitely keep David here and show people that Bowie light, but also to show people that these are, the very things that I learned from David. I want my work to resemble that, and them to learn that from us together, to learn that from me and to learn that from him. Hopefully keep people from pain as much as possible, because people and show them that they're not alone. You're not alone, you know. But
That's right.
I just want to show people, and hopefully people won't try to off themselves as much as I tried. Hopefully they won't hate themselves as much as I did once in my life. Hopefully that instead they'll say, oh shit, there's this person who was inspired by this person, and these people are pretty fucking cool, and this is what I got from it, and this is how I'm going to take it and better myself and help to better society.
Yeah.
That we should be able to, even if we're eating a different meal, still sit at the same table and stop the bullshit and be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And love it in the process. Probably that.
Beautiful. I fully in support of that. You know, like we are kindred spirits with that 100%. Like, we want to do a lot of those same things.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, my mission these days is to like find all the others like us and just amplify the signal.
I just really would like people would link arms better. Being different is fucking awesome. So I love you guys for what you guys do, and I thank you guys for seeing me for who I am and what I do. And I like that we're all aliens who can spread that message of linking arms despite any of it.
Yeah,
just get over it.
100%. I 100% agree with that. And this has been awesome meeting you and chatting with you. So it's great to like meet another Bowie worshiper. It's great to meet another alien. It's great to meet someone who's doing awesome things that we want to broadcast as highly as possible. Everybody, if you haven't yet, go follow Zoe Bowie Official. Is it on Instagram and TikTok? Same handle?
It's the same handle, yes.
Right, yeah. Zoe Bowie Official on Z-O-E Bowie Official. And on Instagram, TikTok, all the things. Follow what they're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Stamp of approval. And I know Bowie is probably looking down from wherever he is, whatever, you know.
He's doing a little dance. He's like, oh yeah.
He's like, yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I called it. I knew it. So it's been great talking to you. Great. Thank you so much. And yeah.
Thanks for being with us. It's so good to get to know you better.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a huge honor. I really do appreciate it.